Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lyds, and we're back for some more Thronebreaker, and last time we successfully protected a dragon, maybe favored that, over a group of dwarves, but hey, I mean, they kind of had it coming to them, and we also saved a gnome as well, who has since joined us, so we are at least, it seemed like, right when we needed it most. We've upgraded our deck a little bit here, and we also got a whole horde worth of resources, particularly gold, I think, from helping out the dragon, so could potentially afford some either numerous or one or two very big upgrades here, but at least for the moment, I think we'll continue to try to proceed with our deck at hand. I mean, our deck is probably still very, very bad after having lost Rayla a little while back, but we're looking at our map here in terms of what we're looking at our next objective being. Of course, we're getting somewhat close to the main quest update over there, but we have a few things we've recently learned about this battle over here, a point of interest of some variety over there, and then a puzzle. Now, something to bear in mind is that, generally speaking, battles will require that we use our own deck, whereas puzzles almost always give us a custom deck. And so if we have concerns about our deck being fairly weak at this stage, it might potentially be worth seeing what this point of interest is going to be. I mean, no idea. It could be something super minor. It could be something pretty big. But more importantly, perhaps, make our way over to this puzzle, and maybe we'll get a good reward if we can finish this one successfully. And that way, if, say, for example, we get another new card, or maybe more likely a new trinket that might be effective, then that could increase our chances of success at this battle. Then again, we are on high morale, so, I mean, maybe it's, that could be reason enough to give us some hope, but, you know, or some additional hope. We'll
The
see.
blizzard's blowing in. Your Grace, perhaps we'd best pitch camp and wait for clear weather.
Oh,
Ain't a bad idea. Said we might be waiting a week.
Then we march on. We've no time to waste. While we ride to and fro begging aid, Nilfgaard grows in power. We must obtain reinforcements as quickly as possible and liberate our home.
oh. Okay. That escalated quickly. Are we actually timed going through a year? Okay. Well, I mean, the battle looks like a dragon. No big deal. Or anything. I mean, we did kind of just recently fight a dragon. No, Lids, that's technically a draconid of a different variety. So, it's very different, as it turns out. Okay, fair. Fair. Probably you are right. But we also did just kind of, sort of, defeat a dragon. It was already wounded. Look, it's an aside. We do have, however, a shrine here at which we could pray. So if the strongest case for us going after this battle right now is that we happen to be on high morale, then the fact that we have a shrine here, and also a shrine there, and a shrine there, possibly even one more further back still, no, I think that's it, then theoretically, if we need to get back on high morale, because who knows what's going to happen here, or somewhere around here, I don't think the puzzle will change it, but if we were to somehow go into low morale even, we should be able to head back up to at least neutral, if not high morale, if necessary. I have no idea if that blizzard means we can't double back at this point. I don't know. But maybe it's purely just for aesthetics. But I think we will still proceed up this way. It does still seem like that is perhaps a better fit for us to do next. Anything here? Broken bridge. But I think the things that we are looking for are over here. There was the point of interest, which is the closest of all those things. I'm not really seeing anything at the moment, but it looks like we're getting very close. Alright, this is concerning me. This looks like some kind of avalanche and like a cart, maybe, that got... yeah, entire caravan, maybe, that got completely overrun by the falling snow.
Meve rode on in silence, endeavoring to work out the length of her exile thus far. A scout's call tore her from her reverie.
Your Grace, you must see this.
With a grave mien, the soldier indicated a track in the snow. The hobnail boot print was all too familiar. Meve had seen it before, upon Lyria's sandy tracks, and midst the ashes to which Edirn had been turned.
Nilfgaardian footmen.
Seethed Meve.
Marched through of late.
Interrupted Gascon.
A day, perhaps 2 days past.
Oh, I mean, I suppose, worth noting, didn't really give this much thought yet, but we have not seen Nilfgaard as of yet in Mahakam. Now we can see the signs of them, but, I mean, we seem to be at least based on the map, I don't know, a third of the way through, if not more, of the area. So we would have probably expected to have seen Nilfgaard earlier. Then again, it seemed as though this wasn't necessarily the direction that Nilfgaard was headed in, and I'm not sure that Nilfgaard is trying to wage war against the dwarves specifically, as much as they're going after the Northern Realms, which are the human-controlled territories in this broader area, not including Mahakam. But, okay, I mean, maybe they are here after all. Of course, worst-case scenario is, I mean, they could maybe be trying to fight the dwarves, but I kind of doubt it. I think more likely what they're trying to do is get some kind of support from the Nilfgaardians. We did hear that, there were some nobles, right? Some dwarven aristocrats that had sort of sided with the Nilfgaardians a little while back, but we still have yet to see Nilfgaardians in the flesh here in Mahakam.
The scouts had learned a Nilfgaardian caravan with an armed escort had recently arrived in Mahakam. The invaders had brought with them chests brimming with gold and jewels, then exchanged these for the finest Mahakaman-forged swords and spears. A scout gave me one of the coins the Blackclads had used for payment. Upon the coin's back, the Lyrian eagle.
They pay
Wait, what?
with gold from my vault
The queen said through gritted teeth.
for arms that will cut down my fighting men and subjects.
We might yet pursue and hunt them down,
Said Reynard, a spark in his eye.
and make certain Eddahi never lays hands on those weapons.
Ooh, sounds like we might have the option of either passing that up and saying, no, we're not fit to do that, or taking on the extra challenge and seeing if we can, in fact, prevent them from using the coins that they stole from our coffers to buy weapons to slay Lyrians and Rivians.
You might, I can.
Piped up Gabor, who had been listening to their exchange.
But you might also recall, we Mahakamans are neutrals who assure all guests within our borders safety. True, formally speaking, the Nilfgaardians have passed outside them, but attack them a stone's throw from our gates, and you'll see Brouver's rage come out his ears as steam, and out his arse as fire.
Ooh. Okay, that does complicate matters. So if we try to take matters into our own hands, that's a strike against us in Brouver's eyes, and might have helped him at the very beginning in this area. Then again, after siding with Keltullus not that long ago, that's maybe one strike against us, and so we are perhaps tempting fate here a little bit if we continue to try to... Not that we're trying to make him mad at us, but if we add to that list, then perhaps our prospects are starting to look a little more grim. So, ooh. That's a tough one. Because I guess at this stage, I mean, we're assuming that the overarching objective of going to Mahakam, obviously, is to not be in a place that is, or not be actively attacked by the Nilfgaardians, but then again, we're looking to find ways to gather forces to become stronger ourselves so that we can bring the fight back to the Nilfgaard. But it's not like our tiny little retinue of Lyrians and Rivians is enough to take on all of Nilfgaard by ourselves. We need support outside of our current group. And so, big picture, does that mean that going to Mahakam, going to Brouver, and asking for his assistance against the Nilfgaardians, even if the dwarves are historically neutrals in many of the conflicts in the Northern Realms and south of the Northern Realms as well? I mean, how much of a difference is that going to make? Because maybe he gives us a couple of dwarven soldiers, but it's not like he's about to hand us the entire Mahakam army, right? Surely not. And so, taking out one group of Nilfgaardians, potentially costing us an unknown quantity of dwarves who may or may not join our war efforts. Very tough. very tough. I mean, what else? Do we have anything else that we have done to win Brouver's favor? At the very, very beginning when we fought that, I don't even remember what kind of monster it was. Ice Troll or something like that, maybe? Or Shaelmar or something? Well, there's Shaelmar came after that. But, like, that was technically not even something that we chose to do. We just were basically forced into it, but maybe we earn a point from that. We did voluntarily, for the initial go-round, fend off Keltella, so that is, that's definitely a point for us. So maybe we can say that's 1 point. But then we proceeded to, help Keltellas after that, so I don't know, do those two things cancel out, become null and void, or is one of them worth more than the other? Then I don't think saving Barnabas is on the level that would be something that would catch Brouver's attention. But if this is, then that might mean we only have 1 point for us and 2 points against us. Maybe 2 points for us if the initial encounter in which we first met Brouver counts as well. But my point is, we're testing fate. We are tempting fate. We are very close, walking that tightrope of, we've done some things that probably would make Brouver unhappy with us, and we haven't done too many things that would make him happy, so we are endangering that potential alliance. But then again, so in some ways it feels like big picture, ignoring the caravan, if that is going to be the deciding factor, is what we ought to do. However, there is still, one would hope, additional time before that final decision on Brouver's behalf is made, and so maybe even if we do one more thing that he doesn't like, we still have time to do other things that he would like, and therefore maybe we can still win him over, because this does, I mean, you can see, obviously, them stealing our money, using our money to buy weapons to kill us, or our people. It's pretty bad on several levels there. So I think we got to give it a try, right? And we just have to hope that there's going to be some other way. That if we are maybe not yet in high enough standing with Brouver, that we can find a way to still make that happen before we actually meet back up with him.
Gabor, forgive me.
Said the queen.
It's a big one,
This
though.
caravan we must attack. I must stop the Nilfgaardians. And entirely apart, I should be quite content to watch Brouver spew fire.
Gabor's mouth gaped as he tried to protest, but the Lyrian soldier's laughter drowned out his grunts.
Yeah.
Meve gave the signal to depart. Soon
This-
after, Queen and company descended upon the foe's caravan, and a battle ensued.
This definitely could backfire. As we saw, whenever there's that note at the bottom, you know it's a big decision to be made. But as I said, I'm just hoping that there are other ways we can still win back Brouver's favor even after this. I mean, we fought off a dragon, right? Sure, maybe we then proceeded to help the dragon afterward, but that's beside the point. The dragon's gonna leave, right? It'll still be much better, Mahakam, after we have assisted with you with all these things than it was before we arrived. So an unusually strong guard protected the Black Cloud's caravan, this Nilfgaardian caravan, as if securing a military convoy on enemy soil. Perhaps Nilfgaardian merchants had requested a more robust escort to defend against the vile monsters of the mountains. Or perhaps they simply suspected Meve would not respect Mahakam's principle of neutrality. So, I mean, I guess, on one hand, it's not like the dwarves are attacking the Nilfgaardians directly. So, by that account, you can say, like, oh, well, the dwarves are still staying neutral. They aren't fighting the Nilfgaardians. Meve is. The Lyrians and Rivians are. But the fact that we're doing it on Mahakam's soil does kind of mean that Mahakam has, in some way, shape, or form, allowed/enabled this to happen, and in that way, they're not remaining perfectly neutral. Okay, optional. Move caravan escorts to our side of the battlefield. It is a shortened battle, so battle means we will have that extra morale, the extra boost from that, so that might be nice. We'll also lose this high morale after this encounter, but we have all those shrines that we can use afterwards, so that might not be that big of a deal. And just one round. Okay, so let's start. And we're just hoping this pays off, because, oh boy, it clearly could cost us long term. Alright, only one round. Before we start choosing our stuffs, let's take a look at what we have here. So, here's the caravan, or the wagon. that we would like, theoretically, to have on our side of the board. But it doesn't move. For every 4 allies destroyed, run 1 row towards the opponent. 4 allies destroyed, that's a lot. It's like destroy all these Alba pikemen, and then every caravan escort plus whatever else they end up playing. I mean, the initial set is probably going to be the Alba pikemen that we're going to be going for, but anyways. If this unit comes into contact with fire, destroy it. Oh, that's the first time we have ever seen that, I think. Also, Meve loses the battle if this thing dies. Wow. So basically, if it gets set on fire, we lose. Now, does that mean... Not that we're... I mean, I'm tempted to test this out. But does that mean that just being in a row that is on fire immediately makes it get destroyed, we immediately lose? Or does it need to get damaged by the fire in a row? Because that is different. If there is fire in a row, there's, at least based on how our fire is currently upgraded, there's only a 33% chance, if I remember correctly, that the fire will actually hit an individual unit on a given turn. So, you know, 1 turn of fire in this range row, and maybe it's enough to take out the 4th enemy unit, so it's enough then to have this wagon move. Might that be safe, or is it just as soon as the fire shows up in the same row, wagon gets destroyed, we lose? I imagine it's probably that, so we should probably avoid. For example, having like 2 Strays bombers in our hand. We could set this range row on fire if we can move this out of the range row. It would mean we have to destroy all these things first, and then we set it on fire, but at that point it feels like fire's probably not all that meaningful. So I think we dump you. We unfortunately can't just use a Stray Slinger because those things are, or the caravan at least is immobile, and we can't even set this row on fire because once 4 enemies get destroyed, this moves into this row, and then it's in a row with fire, we lose. So that's why I think those guys are pretty much out of the question. We don't really want to have Knickers in hand, to tell you the truth. And I'm not sure we're going to want Skull either. Hold on, what do all these guys do? Draw a copy of this unit, although they've already deployed this, so that's not going to happen. Deathwish, discard all copies of this unit from hand and deck. Oh. We could potentially significantly reduce quantity of cards in their hand and deck if we destroy one of these. I mean, we have a leader ability that would be capable of destroying every single one of them in one fell swoop and then have you move into the melee row immediately. So actually, the fire might not have been a terrible idea after all. If there's nothing to complicate things, we can just immediately go leader ability, destroy 4 enemies in one fell swoop, you move down to this row, we set this row on fire, you're never going to move back up. Don't know if they're going to play units in that range row after that, but maybe we could have made it work. Skull. Unless we have units that end up in our graveyard, it's not going to do much of anything, so in a 1-round battle, not a huge deal, I don't think. These are immobile, but they're not going to deal damage to us. So I think there's no... At least we can't guarantee that they're going to deal damage to us, so I think we need to dump Skull. The Slingers... I mean, they have a bunch of immobile units, right? So that's actually a counter for these guys as well. Don't know what they're going to play. Are they going to play more of those? Maybe. And Reynard is one of the cards that we have now found is significantly less useful, right? Because previously he was all about the Rayla combo, but without Rayla anymore, I'm afraid Reynard is mostly just an 11-point body, which is not bad, but that's... I would hope we can do better. Same with Savior. Cards that once upon a time were our best enablers for Rayla, but times have changed. Oh! Okay, hold on. Strengthen all allies by 1. The visiting ambassador. Ambassador, you say. Yeah, right? So this is the card you actually played. Each turn start, boost adjacent units by 1 of this unit has armor. That's probably going to happen. Unfortunately, our totally amazing best leader ability ever is not quite going to work when these are on 5R. I mean, we're still going to do it, but it's not going to, like, immediately destroy all of them and move this wagon into the next row right off the bat, which is what I was really hoping would end up happening, because that would have been amazing. But, alas, I don't think that will work. I mean, we'll do it, because it'll still deal a lot of damage, and it'll get these guys down to 1 power, which I like. And then maybe we just stray Slinger to take 3 of them out? That's probably it. I mean, technically, Stray's Cavalry, the earlier we play it, the better it is. But that still feels like that's not... Because the more we allow them to set up, the more time they're going to have to power up. Then again, we have 2 damage with the Stray Slinger per target, and we're going to lower these guys down to 1, so technically speaking, maybe we can wait a turn. Alright, I guess that means we go Cavalry first. Oh, hold on, though. Forgot about these guys. I mean, they might change the equation slightly, but I don't think we can rely on that. So let's go Stray's Cavalry. And I think what we want to do is we want to, well, I always forget the order of operations with the mark damage. Because if it happens at the beginning of their turn and we put it on one of these guys next to the Imperial Enforcers, then we could prevent them from actually boosting the cards. Whereas if it happens afterward, I think we can still do this. Then we go and use leader ability on these guys. Big damage.
I said I wish to capture the transport.
Is that guaranteed to happen? It really just happened to hit the wagon twice with these guys with the random damage. Oh, why must you be this way? We could use Scepter Storms to take out one of these. Since we do appear to have a guaranteed kill on several of them with the Stray Slinger on our next turn, I don't think we go for that. I mean, I'm anticipating these will get boosted up to 2. But that is still in removal range. And then maybe they'll play something over here to boost these guys, but even then, we should still have the ability to use Stray Slinger on our next turn after that to remove those guys as well. Yeah, so the boost happens first.
Life is mine now.
But how often do they get to use it? Do they have a cooldown on this, or is it just use it once? I guess it's just use it once. Okay, that's a good sign. This guy, damage enemy unit by 2 whenever an ally appears, gain 1 charge. So yeah, you're a damage dealer. We've definitely seen this guy before. Same with you. So now it is you. And you will move this. And does this happen every turn? Yeah, it does happen every turn. So it's going to perpetually be on 1 power unless we do ultimately use now the pikeman. I think we're probably still doing this though. And it does destroy many of the cards in their hand. We need to remove 1 more of these, namely this guy, to have the wagon move into this row. Once it does, I mean, these were obviously the easy targets. If we were to use Scepter of Storms, it hit you and then it hit you. The tricky thing about this is that if we get unlucky and we happen to deal random damage to the wagon again, I'm looking at you guys, Arbalists, then this could become their weakest unit, and then Scepter of Storms becomes unusable because it's going to damage and potentially destroy the wagon, and we obviously don't want that. So, I mean, it is usable in this instance, and it would move you down. Not sure how significant that is at this stage. It would mean that the mark would move. I guess the mark theoretically could end up on the wagon. That's probably not something we'd like either, but it is random where the mark gets passed to, so chances are low that would happen. But otherwise, one of these guys, the next lowest units, you actually, once you factor in the armor, in terms of how much damage we need to deal, 16 versus 11. So, I mean, but this would get rid of you, then it would hit you, getting rid of, what, 2 armor? Still not a huge factor. So I think we wait.
Of course, as you wish, master.
Okay, what's the deal here? Spawn a random potion in your hand. This is also a card we've definitely seen at one point in time or another. Alright, so now, this is the lowest card that they have. And that means, and it has considerably less survivability, or at least a little bit less survivability than the other cards that they were looking at before. So, we can, if we go Slinger, we can, I mean, once again, Stray's Cavalry. The earlier we play it, the better it is, so we can make a case for, technically speaking, doubling down with double mark on this Alba Pikeman would give enough damage even after the boost to destroy it. Or we could go for the sure thing, Strays, or the immediate thing, Stray Slinger, and probably hit these weaker guys as well. That's not going to be a huge factor because they do have armor, but maybe. Don't really know what to expect out of Barnabas. And the Alzur's Thunder is not particularly usable right now unless we did it here and damage these guys, but that's way overkill damage and not great damage on these guys. Otherwise, if we wait, we're going to end up hitting the wagon with the collateral damage. And this melee row with these huge caravan escorts, I think, is not really a great option either. So I guess we'll do this. Mathematically speaking, long term it is preferable. You get boosted, but you will get damaged by 2. It's more damage for them. There is the destruction on that moves you into the melee row, where now we need to destroy 4 more units. You know what we might really want to do would be if we could somehow get all these guys on 7 power. Actually, we like the mark on this. We don't love the mark there, but we get leader ability back in 2 turns. So what I was thinking was if we could somehow get these guys down to 7 by hitting them with a couple of Stray Slingers, then that might mean that we could get a bunch of 7s lined up for a bigger leader ability, because otherwise, I mean, it's probably going to be these 9s. As I said, I think it's not all that realistic to go after these guys. Alzur's Thunder starting to look a little bit better here. 10 damage is actually almost enough to destroy this. Throw in a Scepter Storms, and it definitely is. That'd be 1 card. We just need to get you here, right? Don't need to get you up. I don't know how we'd get you into the range row, but this unit comes into contact with fire. Wait, hold on. Optional move caravan escort to your side of the battlefield. Yeah, so just need to destroy 4 more units of theirs, other than the caravan. We can definitely destroy 1. And we could destroy 1 almost immediately. This is what, 8 damage? You have 10, or 11, effectively. Ability, or can take 11 damage. So this plus this gets you down to 1. If we were to do Alzur's Thunder, drop you down to 1, 5 damage here, 5 damage here. Scepter Storms finishes you, I think. What would you be down to? You take 5 damage, tank 2 with armor, so you're taking 7 minus 3, you're at 4. So Alzur's Thunder does kill you 2. It means we get 2 kills on the Alzur's Thunder, which gets us halfway to moving you up 1 more row and winning this thing. But I mean, short term, it's obviously that's the best play. The question is long term, though. Is it better for us to wait it out and try to set up a leader ability where we might get some additional value out of it? And I think that might be the answer. We are close to having these Strays Cavalry go down, but I mean, we've gotten a little bit of additional benefit out of them, so they've by and large done their job already. So I think we may do this. Ooh, then again, yeah, if we move, but you were really nicely positioned for the Alzur's Thunder, and that would change if we go with the cavalry now. Maybe we do Alzur's Thunder. We also have the Bone Talisman that I still don't remember what it does. Slash, it might do something different every time. We'll do this. And that gets out Knickers as well, who I'm not really... I mean, outscoring them might help with that, but... I guess we go Scepter Storms. It will limit their damage a little bit, so that's also saying something. Okay. 3? We just destroyed 2 units. Excuse me? What? Pardon me? It didn't count one of the units that we killed? We killed both these on this turn? We killed one of these. Oh no, we killed a bunch of these, and that is what triggered you to move in here. But then after that, we killed both of you on this turn? Okay. So that... There's not really any explanation for why that was the case. Normally a timer normally a timer would work in a way that, what was that coming from? Oh, the marks. Right, they moved. Normally these timer-like indicators would suggest it would automatically be something that changes by 1 every turn, goes down by 1 every turn, but it's not coming from a turn-based proc. It's coming from us destroying units, and we destroyed 2 units in that turn. So that's... do feel like we got robbed, rather significantly, in fact, on that turn, but okay. So now, we don't have that many options left outside of the slingers, and Barnabas, who I don't know what kind of trinket he's gonna give us, but is it any trinket, including ones that we do not yet have unlocked? I imagine that's likely the case. And so some of them might be reasonably useful, others might not be. Obviously, the one that we just used would be quite useful, but then again, we found that it was not quite as valuable as we might have initially thought it was. So, I mean... I think on this turn, we might bide time a little bit here, and we might go with Gascon, because as of right now, if we were to go with the Stray Slinger, we can move you to deal damage. We can't move any of you, so that's no damage, and we could move you, but that's... oh no, you're immobile. I was gonna say, that would have made things a lot easier if we moved you on our first turn, get you over here, and then destroy 4 enemies, and then we're done already. But, no. Also, in this occasion, if we had done that, it would weaken the unit that we don't want to weaken, and it would make it harder for us anyway. So, obviously, we don't want to do that. So, basically, I think we want to wait for them to play a more easily destructible and movable unit. And if they're going to start playing a whole bunch of these, as we've seen them sometimes do in previous Nilfgaardian encounters, then that will be tricky. So fortunately, you are movable. So we could Stray Slinger. And if we were to go Scepter of Storms at this stage, we're talking getting you from an 8 down to a 5. And who knows what we're getting out of Barnabas here. Technically speaking, what we really want to do is we want to shut this down before a bunch of these additional Dairlin foot soldiers come down, because that is, I'm guessing, what these last 2 cards are. And the more of them they play, the stronger they're all going to get. So the quicker we are, the more effective we will be in trying to take this out. So this might need to be our primary focus. And if we were to try this encounter again, we might deliberately wait until these come down and then use the Alistair's Thunder on that. But I think we might need to Barnabas here and see what we get. And this seems like it's going to be
Not supposed to be any smoke.
pretty RNG-y. Any allies would be useful to replay? I don't really think so. We could replay a trinket, that'd be great. Prosai moves 6 random enemies to the other row and damage them by 2. I mean, great for movement, but we have a bunch of enemies that can't be moved, that's the issue. Boost allies by 2, damage enemies by 2. Is looking like that's the best answer for us. It does mean damaging the wagon, but I think we would need to do it's gonna put the wagon in. This Dairlin foot soldiers both on 10 power, so using leader ability will hit the wagon, which is definitely not what we want. We might just need to live with that. That could cause some trouble, though. That does make me very nervous. But otherwise, 6 random enemies as well. So who even knows if it's going to try to move the enemies that can be moved, or not. I mean, that's... in both cases, it would be 2 damage to all the enemies that we want to damage. In this case, we're also getting 2 damage on the enemies that we are not relying on as much getting rid of, but we're maybe thinking, might try to get rid of one of them. And then the wagon as well, which is obviously not ideal. And then this, it turns out, is pretty much useless. Unless we replay Barnabas. Hold on. what if we replay Barnabas? And if we get something like Nalzur's Thunder, then that might be more along the lines of what we're looking for. Because it feels like, I mean, these are marginally helpful, but it does kind of feel like we struck out a bit there. So I think we might actually want to decoy Barnabas. Okay. And then we go leader ability, and it means we are safe to use it on the Dareland Foot Soldiers, which I think is the right answer. We do have a bunch of 21 powered caravan escorts, so we could get damage all, or at least weaken the armor of all them, but they're just so much bigger than everyone else that I think that's not exactly going to be the most fruitful of strategies. Please stop hitting the wagon. Okay. Now, Scepter Storms can deal, I mean, it's not a huge amount of damage, but it is some damage to this Imperial Enforcers. It's probably not time sensitive. This is much more time sensitive. I guess we're passing here. Ending our turn. Expecting more foot soldiers? Yep. Okay, I'm losing some of our units that have a mark, but or dealing damage from the mark, but again, that's just, I think, not really going to be a big factor. So now we can either go Stray Slinger, and now we definitely do have a bunch of units that we actually want to hit. Or we can try Barnabas again, and again, I'm expecting this last card to be a Dareland Foot Soldier, so if we can destroy this one before they play this, then we're limiting the value of it slightly. And also, we don't like that the wagon is going to be dropping below the power of, or on the same amount of power as this Dareland Foot Soldiers, because that starts to make the Scepter Storms much more dangerous. So we might need to use this now. But I think first we go Barnabas. We're looking for something to shut this down, and then, or at least damage it, and then use Scepter Storms to either significantly weaken or destroy this, or maybe this becomes the lowest unit after Barnabas, so it becomes the target of Scepter Storms. That'd be even better. Let's try it out. This time...
Oh, yes, I'm on it.
We have the lowest unit. They do have the highest unit. Damaging this by any of these by 15, I'm still not sure that's going to be enough. Transform a damage unit into a bear. We have tried this before. Bears with 22 power. And we do have a damage unit, so we could make that happen if we're just trying to outscore them. That's not really what we were focusing on doing. We were very much focusing on trying to destroy enough units to get the wagon over here. So I'm still not sure we're far enough along to make that happen. What is this? This is not a card in Gwent multiplayer. I've never seen this before. Boost 2 allies by 2 and give them immune. Yeah, that's not really what we're looking for here. I think it might need to be Becker's Dark Mirror. Just double check. Verify. Highest unit would definitely be one of you. Again, wasn't really what I was thinking we were going to be going for. And might still be rather difficult to break through the armor and HP, but 15 damage is a lot, so maybe it's possible. Then again, Stray Slinger can't damage it at all, so I kind of doubt it. But our alternatives aren't much better, because this is borderline useless. This is only useful for trying to outscore them, which I don't think we can, even if we want to. So I think it kind of has to be Becker's Dark Mirror, and this also still gives us, possibly does give us more points than that anyway. So by both accounts, this is the right answer. I'm still not sure it's enough. But then we should hit you while we still can, otherwise we're going to end up getting in trouble here. And I think Knickers is about to eat Bone Talisman. I do legitimately want to play this on our next turn if he doesn't, because we kind of need a minor miracle here to pull this off. Okay, Knickers did not eat it.
To the front yet again.
Yep, more of these foot soldiers. So here's the problem, is now Scepter Storms, I mean, it can finish off this Imperial Enforcers. Fine. But, after that... Okay, I mean, it's supposed to go for this infantry, Black Infantry Arbalist, rather than the wagon, so we aren't in immediate danger of destroying the wagon like this. They've run out of cards. But then again, our problem here is that we just don't have many additional options remaining for us, unfortunately, because of the Stray Slinger's inability to deal with these caravan escorts. So that's why I'm thinking we're trying this Bone Talisman and seeing what the heck it does. Probably destroy the Imperial Forces first, because that is what seems to be pretty much a sure thing. Does this count? It does, because for some reason, we did not get one of the counts on the wagon before. So this, I would have thought, should read 1 at this point, which would mean we just need to destroy one of these units. And that would feel like that'd be doable. But what is this Bone Talisman going to do? Destroy one of our units and boost all the others. I didn't see on net if it just redistributed the points or if we actually benefited on net, actually gained something out of it. What did we destroy? We destroyed one of our Arbalists, and we were, I think, expecting to get one more leader ability out before the end of this encounter. And so that means we did lose 2 points of random damage because of that. So that probably hurt us. Like, quite literally had just an entirely negative effect. So that's lovely. Feels like we might be striking out a bit here. But now what I mean, I would say we'd be trying to line up these Darelin foot soldiers all on 12 power and then use our leader ability to hit them all simultaneously. It's nice for maximizing damage, maybe if we're trying to outscore them, but if we're trying to destroy one of these guys, then I don't think leader ability on a 12 power unit is going to get it low enough to make that a possibility. Let's see, hold on, let's do some quick math here. So if we use every slinger to target the same unit, it's worth 6 damage, right? 2 damage apiece. The lowest unit on the board is this Black Infantry Arbalist, which means this is the one that we can get additional damage on from the Scepter Storm. So this should be one of our targets, no matter what. This one we will, I think we need 2. 1 will not do. We need 2. I mean, it has to be these 2, right? It has to be these 2. And I guess what we're looking for then is get 6 damage on you, drops you down to a 6. Which is obviously not enough even with leader ability. That'll get you down to a 2, which means we need enough damage with the Slingers and with the Scepter Storms to destroy you and at least hit you with the Scepter Storms once. If we can do that, then we will have enough. And that's why having one more of the Arbalists could have been a key difference maker, because just 1 extra proc of damage on the right target might be the difference maker here. But I think it would be doable if we had gotten this last wagon charge to proc, the one that I mean, I'm pretty sure that we got one that just missed altogether, didn't we? Am I totally making that up? I might be totally making that up, but I don't think I am. Alright, so now we go here.
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
Okay, and I mean, for what it's worth, our point total is actually getting pretty high with Gascon. Dare I say that might actually turn out to be our angle here? Our way to make this work? Well, we're about to find out. Because Slinger on U3 does mean we've overtaken them. Okay, so I guess we're doing it on points. I really thought we were going to have to destroy something here. And, well, we might still be able to make that happen. And by destroy something, I mean destroy 2 things. Because Scepter of Storms now does have the damage to destroy you. And then it should have 1 charge remaining. No, it will not. No, it will not. We're going to be 2 damage shy unless... Or 1 damage shy, potentially, depending on who we target with leader ability. Depending on if this happens to hit a card that we want it to hit. Which is unlikely. Right? Because this is 3 charges worth of 6 damage right now would destroy you. Then 4 damage from leader ability on you would drop you down to 2. That means if this random 2 damage happens to hit you, we would win on that front. If it doesn't, then we wouldn't. But I guess it doesn't matter anymore, because we passed them. So we can just, you know, do like... I mean, I guess we can do it in this order as well. random damage does not hit a useful target. I mean, it does deal damage, so again, the difference does get bigger, and it seems like not the direction I thought we were going to take here, but I guess we'll just outscore them, which I'm pretty sure still means we win, because this was a battle. The optional objective was to move the caravan into our row, which we came 1 point of damage away from completing. But now we'll just outscore them instead.
The transport's ours.
Okay, I guess that works too.
Crushed by their defeat, the Nilfgaardians tossed the chests into the snow lining the road and rode off to the cracking of their whips. One chest burst open, revealing a weapon wrapped in greased leather. Gascon removed the leather and held aloft a sigil that shone with newly forged luster. He examined it from all sides, then put his thumb to its blade. Blood immediately squirted out.
Ooh,
Oh.
sharp bastard.
He said, clearly impressed. Hearing these words, Gabor unexpectedly burst out laughing.
It's like, what, you didn't believe in the dwarven craftsmanship?
What's got you so tickled, if you don't mind my asking? Custom holds. The first words out a warrior's mouth upon seeing a sill become the blade's name. So, congrats. You've dubbed it.
Gascon stood there awkwardly as Meve took the weapon from him.
Okay. So Sihil is the name of a card in Gwent multiplayer, and I'm familiar with it from that. And I know there's a translation from it, I forget what exactly it is, but it's something very crude, if I remember correctly. And so I think the idea is basically that Gascon, by testing the sharpness of the blade, has immediately made a fool out of himself by cutting his finger, and so, in doing so, he's made a fool out of himself, and basically, the sword is named one of the, cuss words that is something along those lines.
I'd have chosen a different name personally, one with a bit more dignity. But Sharp Bastard has an undeniable charm.
There you go.
And I cannot wait to try it out on Nilfgaardian plate.
Aye, but perhaps nae in Mahakam.
Gabor interjected.
You've made a fine enough mess for yourselves as is. Gonna need to amend for it somehow. And that'll nae be easy.
Yes. So, I mean, honestly, as we were saying initially, expected for this to be something that would be a mark against us in Brouver's book. But the mere fact that Gabor is suggesting that perhaps there is a way to amend for this, to make up for this, and that's a good sign. We're just gonna, from here on out, we're gonna have to be pretty committed to doing whatever it is to make Brouver happy, because we've done a few things to make him not so happy with us at this point.
Tidings of Meve's deeds soon reached Brouver Hoog's meaty ears.
Yeah.
And though there was
About
no
that.
fire, despite Gabor's insistence to the contrary, there was also no doubt the Elder-in-Chief was livid. Only the Zigrin's intercession on their behalf kept the Lyrians from being thrown out of the mountains.
Okay. Is there a world in which that becomes just game over? Alright, but we actually got what I assume is a leader ability here. Meve Sahil, and we have not gotten a new leader ability for the longest time. Did we see any new leader abilities in Eddard? Not sure if we did. This card has been added to your army and can be found in the command tent. Let us claim it. So, of course, the big question, and a question that I think will take a long time to fully answer, will be, was it worth it? We'll get the extra loot here, but I suppose the biggest deal is that we successfully completed that encounter and got that new leader ability. So I'm really hoping that that's a good one, because it may have cost us big time to acquire it. Let's take a look here. Hopefully, Brouver doesn't hold it against us too much. Well, let's see. So, man, so long since we, Rivia and Broadsword? Was this in Lyria that we acquired? I know it was I think it was the latest leader ability that we acquired. But, I mean, that was still a really long time ago. So let's see. Meve Sale. Order damage a unit by 1. Then trigger all allies' loyal abilities. Okay, so, I mean, that loyal abilities triggering is nothing new. That's always the case with leader abilities. Increase the damage dealt by 1 for each unit destroyed by this ability. Wait, this is exactly what it does in multiplayer. It's not a leader ability in multiplayer, but it just recently got reworked to do this. That's actually really funny. Okay, so I am actually very familiar with trying to build around this for that reason. So that's interesting. What's the cooldown? 3. Okay, so basically, it starts very weak at 1 power, and the broadsword is 4 power right off the bat, and 4 power to every unit that has the amount of power of the unit that you're targeting. So it could be 4 power, it could be 8, could be 12, could be 16 sometimes even, or possibly even more than that. So with good timing, the broadsword can be very effective. It's slow with that 5 cooldown. So this one certainly in a long match, namely, I would think a full-length match where you start out round 1 and it's weak. The hardest thing is actually at the beginning when it's at this low amount of power, 1 point of damage. It can be kind of hard. Actually, it can be very hard to destroy units with just 1 point of damage, and especially because since this is a cooldown ability, I mean, we want to be using this as soon as possible, right? So that we get it back off cooldown as quickly as possible, and we start to, build up its power over time. But if you can't get it to work on the first turn, then you're kind of trying to, carve out a unit or two that you can take out with the Sahil, and by then, maybe it's too little too late. So, I mean, there's... In a usual game of Gwent, there would be 16 turns taken, 10 or up to 10 in round 1, draw into 3 more cards in round 2, 3 more cards in round 3, total of 16. So that would mean you're getting, in theory, about 5 uses of this maximum in a full-length match. It means at 1 point in time you can skip a turn. So, what? You get it from 1 up to +5, 6... Wait. Start at 1. No, so by the 5th use, it would be on 5 damage. This still feels weak. Compared to Broadsword. I mean, Broadsword, sure, there are definitely times when there's only 1 unit that has the amount of power that we're targeting, and so we only get 4 damage out of it, but 4 damage is still the same amount of damage that Sahil gets only after significant setup. It's faster in this case, yes, but I just don't think that's really worth it more often than not. I mean, I'm sure there are going to be scenarios in which it will be useful, times when there may be just, no units on the board right after the beginning, and so your opponent plays 1 unit on their first turn, the unit happens to be really weak, you can either immediately take it out with Sahil, or with playing 1 unit, like a Stray Slinger to weaken something by 2 power, then it gets into removal range with Sahil, and then you can just, every 3 turns at that point, take something out with Sahil. Maybe it's roughly competitive with Broadsword at that point in time, but so often we find ourselves in encounters in which our opponents, right from the get-go, have numerous units on the board, and so oftentimes there's several copies of the same unit, which means we can get really solid value out of Broadsword. Sure, there are times when not quite the case, but still, as we were saying, that's roughly the same. In worst case scenario, Broadsword, best case scenario, Sahil. If those are roughly the same, then that means Broadsword, in normal circumstances, or even the best of circumstances, would significantly surpass Sahil, it would seem. So, I don't know. I'm underwhelmed. But maybe we can find a time to work this in. It feels like for now, though, we should be sticking with the Broadsword. I mean, just look at the last encounter, for example, where we almost... first turn, we almost just destroyed our opponent right off the bat because we had this leader ability. But it does make me wonder if maybe there will be some encounters immediately afterward where the game is like, did you switch to Sahil? It'd be really useful in this circumstance. We're gonna give you some really nice times to use it just to test if you happen to get that item. But alas, I think probably still gonna stick, at least for the moment, with our old leader ability, because I think it's still gonna be a little bit better. So hopefully though, taking out those Nilfgaardians and their caravan was still worthwhile, but seeing that the leader ability that we acquired is maybe not as good as I'd hoped it would be, does raise some questions about that. But either way, this is a good place for us to wrap up here. So thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time.